A lot of times you go to conferences and you just hear about advancements of technologies. This conference provides a great opportunity for you to actually see and touch.
The level of interaction is significantly higher than what I'm used to with other conferences.
What's important is to be able to share ideas, and people are coming in from all sorts of different perspectives. So even in this morning's address, you've got 4 very different perspectives on the same problem, and that's very creative.
So conferences like DSET, really, it's great because we get all our customers and all our end users in the room together, talk to them, and it allows me then to go back to the office and brief the team on where the problems are and what we can do better in the future.
A lot of times.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tess Butler, CEO, Roddy Nice and DSET. Thanks for joining us again for this afternoon's live stream of DSET, the webinar and the preview to our conference in just 2 weeks' time. I am now very happy to introduce Sam Vine from Cineon, who is joining us live online. Sam, if you'd like to come in. Hi, how are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Sam is the Chief Scientific Officer from Cineon, and you're a first-time exhibitor this year, is that right, in the Innovation Zone?
That's correct, yeah, looking forward to it very much.
Fantastic. So what I'm going to do now, Sam, is I'm going to hand over to you, and I'll pop in the end to wrap up and ask you any questions that we've had. And if you're watching, you can put questions in our YouTube channel, and we'll get those to Sam during the course or at the end of the presentation. Thanks, Sam. Over to you.
Super. Thanks, Tess. Hopefully you can see my slides and you can hear me well. For those watching online, hello. I'm Sam, as Tess said, Chief Scientific Officer at Cineon. I'm a Professor of Psychology at the University of Exeter. And I want to spend a bit of time today just telling you about Cineon, the company, and some of the innovations and capabilities and products that we will be bringing along with us to DSET in a couple of weeks. So Cineon are a company that build virtual reality and other extended reality tools, and we furnish them with data science devices and capabilities that make them smart and interesting. I want to tell you a bit about how we're using those to try to advance training and give you a bit of a taster of the tools that you'll be able to get hands-on with at DSET. So generally, the company is interested in closing this gap between advanced technologies and people. We want to build products that work, that are usable, but that solve the real world problems that people in different industries face. And obviously, defense and security is our #1 industry, but we also work in health, in civil aviation, and in other sort of safety critical industries. And all of our products have that same combination I mentioned earlier of being technology focused and data driven, but we point those capabilities at different problems for different reasons. Now, the challenge that we are trying to resolve at the moment relates to flight training, particularly phase 1 early stage training in the RAF, and trying to help them to better be able to objectively assess the competency, the skill level, and the learning of trainees. It can be really difficult to be able to understand what level your personnel are at. It can be very difficult to understand what kinds of stages of training people might need to go through at what speed, and particularly assessing how capable people are of overcoming operational demands is a challenge. Now, of course, flight simulators are very good at helping us overcome this challenge already, but we've tried to think about other technologies that can help, and one of those is eye tracking. And hence, we have developed a product we call Tacit, which is aimed at training these aviation competencies using eye tracking technology. So we think that eye tracking has the potential to give some additional information to the instructors and trainers about what trainees are thinking and feeling and doing, and help them to essentially personalize and bespoke training on the basis of that information. Now, this is just an insight into where Tacit came from. I've made the brave decision to try and play a live video, so please bear with me. This was actually a prototype we developed for civil aviation. So here you can see the basics of the capability. You've got a simulated cockpit. We often also use augmented reality for this inside conventional simulators. And you can see this quite sort of cartoon-like cursor moving around the screen just to demonstrate that we monitor the eye movements of people when they are in this environment. So combining these two technologies together, simulation and the eye tracking, allows us to develop new types of training and new types of insight that otherwise wouldn't be possible. It's a project started with funding from Innovate UK and is based quite firmly on some of the research that we've published at Cineon and at the University of Exeter research team. It was initially built for VR. You can see here a sort of quintessential COVID response to doing training in isolation. But we started to build a core technology that is now at the heart of what we're offering in the military defence security space as well. So the product was tested with civil aviation partners and was proven to be robust and reliable, and there weren't too many sort of hurdles or pitfalls to overcome. And so next we started to think about building a version of this software that would be useful for defence and security. And this is what that particular version of the software looks like. So here you're seeing the kind of main interface that Tacit provides. And this was developed in collaboration with colleagues at RAF Cranwell and the Central Flying School, and was supported by some DASA funding in the past sort of 12 months or so. So on the left-hand side here, you can see a recreation of the simulator that the person is in. They're in a fixed base synthetic environment at RAF Cranwell. They're using the VRAI headsets to overlay a virtual sort of cockpit mock-up. The VRAI headset then has the eye tracking, and we've kind of digitized and combined that whole environment. So you've got this single synthetic tool that's kind of part real, part virtual. Eye tracking that's being captured within the headset is then sent to Cineon servers and softwares, and this allows us to do some analysis of what those eye tracking might mean. And this is everything from basic skill in flying. We've published a lot of work on what the eye movements of experts and novices might look like, so we're able to use that work to index competency and skill. But we're also able to be a bit more adventurous and try to think about measuring competency in relation to the level of training, and maybe even some of these other psychological or human factors type variables relating to workload and fatigue and anxiety. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. Okay, next slide. Okay. Underpinning Tacit is some of our proprietary software that we refer to as Ellie. It's an empathic learning engine. It's essentially a cloud-based software that receives the data that I've just referred to and does some clever things to make sense of it. So we're showing you here a sort of generic architecture that relates to all of our products, but this is precisely how this works in the context of Tacit for defence and security. Data comes from the simulator or the headset, as you can see here, depicted in the middle of the slide. Those data are sent to our servers, and we're able to undertake machine learning, do some on-the-hoof adaptation and personalization of those machine learning models. We're able to develop some predictions about performance, other psychological factors, and we're able then to send those data back to the simulator or the associated software so that they can be put to good use. Maybe good use is just tabulizing them or turning them into graphics, but good use can also be putting them into adaptations that the simulator might adopt autonomously. So Ellie is our architecture of software and data science. that really allows Tacit to work. And certainly this architecture has had its teeth cut quite sharply in use cases in civil aviation, in defence, and in health. Now, we want to talk a little bit about the sorts of concepts that we are interested in indexing from these data. So we receive these eye tracking data, and we really want to try to measure with those eye tracking data things that we think are useful for the end user, for the instructor, for the trainer, and for the trainee. And previous work has certainly already laid the ground for this. There's a lot of literature that shows a close association between eye movements and things like experience and skill and competency. And we are really standing on the shoulders of that work in putting together this product. But we're trying to extend it also. We're trying to go beyond basic measures of how good you are at flying, how advanced you are through the stages of learning, and maybe also index some of the airmanship qualities that we know are critical, and also that we know subjectively people struggle to index in the training environment. So things that we are relying on instructors making a subjective assessment on, we're trying to objectify those and increase their reliability. So this is a computationally difficult thing. This is an exciting prospect for a data scientist. We're having to define these variables, and we're having to develop models and equations which will essentially allow these estimations and these calculations to be done in real time, because we think that that's where the real utility is for the training environment. So going beyond the kinds of graphics you can see here, where we know that there's an association between the number of hours flying an A320 and your eye movement metrics, search rate and entropy here, and moving towards estimations of things like stress and anxiety and workload, and being able to put those data back into the training environment so that instructors have them at their fingertips. And our plan at DSET is essentially to allow you to come and have a play with those tools. So we'll bring the Tacit software backend with us. We will bring some data from some of our data collection exercises at RAF Cranwell, and we'll be able to explore those data with you, show you how the models work, show you how the architecture and the software works, and hopefully explore some additional use cases that might be relevant to the things that you're doing, or the problems or challenges that you have. And I'll just finish on that point, actually, that we are trying to apply this technology to a range of other defence and security sectors or problems, as well as aviation. So we have associated products in room search and clearance, for example, and drone flying. So we'd be really keen to hear from people in those sectors, as well as in flight training and aviation. Look forward to seeing you there. It should be fun.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. That's really great. And I really like the point about that you made, which talks to the DSET premise of solving real world problems and answering, the work job and the day job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think being problem focused and outcome focused is critical.
Yeah.
There's a tendency to put technology first. I think technology is the solution, and data science might be the solution, but we've got to make sure we've got our eyes on the problem itself. So yeah, and then that's why we're really keen to engage with the DSET community in a couple of weeks, because we need to reaffirm that problem, hear it from them, from the community that are doing this training, and then go away and perhaps redesign if needs be, or tweak, hopefully at the very most.
No, perfect. Well, look, and if anybody wants to learn more, go to Cineon.ai and come and see Sam and the team at DSET in a couple of weeks' time.
Please do. Look forward to seeing you.
Thanks, Sam. I'm now going to bring in VRAI simulation. We're going to have Anthony Casson from VRAI. Are you there, Ant?
Please do.
All right. Thanks, Sam. I'm now going to bring in VRAI simulation. We're going to have Anthony Casson from VRAI. Are you there, Ant?
I am. Can you hear me?
So, Ant, could you please turn off the live stream that you've got in the background, because we're getting feedback, please? Thank you.
How's that? Is that better?
Yeah, much better. I let the lag happen and then spoke.
Yeah,
Really
of
good
course.
to see you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Tess.
Sam, you can now go off into the wilderness and enjoy the rest of your afternoon, whilst Ant will now brief us on VRAI's capabilities and what you're looking forward to doing and showing us at DSET this year.
Great. Bear with me whilst I sort the screen. Can you see the slides?
It's just coming up. I believe that it's are you sharing your slides?
I'm trying to bear with me.
We will bear with the Miranda moment for those who know. There we
How's
go.
that?
Perfect. So if you put it on actual show rather
Yeah.
than the thing, then we can go from there. But is it your first time to DSET this year?
It's my first time with the company. Yes, apologies, I'm just doing some slide admin. So yes, first time there in my capacity with VRAI. I left the Air Force last year, so exciting times.
Excellent. Just as a point of admin, you've got a grayed out box in the middle. If that's the Zoom view, you might want to move it to the right or minimize it.
How's that? Don't know. God, my admin's awful in this, isn't it?
That's all right. If you just click the little tiny
There we go.
minimize line.
How's that?
Perfect. There we go.
Great. We got there eventually.
Yeah, no
Tess,
problem at all.
thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Tess and the team, thanks for allowing us to do a small little introduction in preparation for DSET, which we are really looking forward to. VRAI, we are a SME, and we're focusing on transforming simulation data into actionable insights. Our vision is ultimately to transform how people are trained by advocating the widespread adoption of harnessing data and the insights that data can provide to improve and optimize human performance. We believe data is the untapped resource. I think many of us will appreciate that simulation in defence has been with us for some time, but we have not really used this data in a manner that we can apply the learning of it. As I said, we believe that this is a rich seam of data that we can use and push back to end users. Our values are sustainability of people, planet, and profit. We have a triple bottom line, and that's very important to us. And what that manifests itself in is we are customer first, and we prioritize the end user requirements. We work very closely with them to understand their problems and then allow them to realize and benefit from what we can offer. So I'm going to try and sort of take you through a bit of a vision and then quickly talk through what our solution is. So bear with me and indulge me on the vision that we're sort of going to suggest today. But before we start, I think there is increasing recognition in defence at the highest levels that this data is really valuable, and we really need to start taking note of it. Air Vice Marshal Ian Townsend, Cabs, couldn't have put this better, really. Going forward, we need to make sure that we positively plan to collect that data and analyse it. That is what we're getting after. And he took the words out of our mouth in that statement. So we use that really as our sort of North Star on where we're going. So let me take you through a journey. So please indulge me. Our vision, optimize human performance through the data that we have accessible, AI-based analytics, and using that to transform future aviation and pan-domain training. So I am 16 years old. I'm going to go and attend RIAT this year, and I see all the jets, and I'm thoroughly impressed. And so I'm inspired to join the Air Force and become a pilot. Because of this, I find my local air cadets, I join, and during my time there, I have access to a variety of flight simulators, and all of which begin to capture my baseline performances, my baseline potential, my behaviors, my characteristics, and who I am. That's all done by building a digital profile in the very first instance. So from day one, a digital profile is built of me, which then I can carry through my career. So I remarkably demonstrate some high potential, and I'm sort of pointed to the RF recruitment. They are notified and they target me for recruitment, and they can do this because my digital profile has been captured and is updated regularly, and that is accessible to the right people at the right time. So I join, and on my first day, my instructors have access to this digital profile of me, can see my performance, can see my potential, and then can start to begin to objectively assess my strengths and weaknesses and where they believe I may need injected training intervention, and or start to stream me appropriately. During all phases in my Air Force career, I have an issued digital profile, so a phone, tablet, or whatever that may be in the future, and that is constantly updated when I'm in a training environment, whether that's in a synthetic environment or whether it's in a live environment, and it slowly starts to build a picture of how I behave, how I perform, what my cognitive potential is, and the stresses, where I react, etc. And that is all done through the biometrical analysis that the system may be able to offer. I will carry this through my career, and I'll have this ability to tap into simulators, and it will automatically upload my profile. It will understand where I am in either my training pipeline or my operational pipeline, and it will then adapt the training environment to suit where I need to be at the time. So in this whole process, I'm keen. So as I am with my own sports and my own personal life, I'm keen to challenge myself. So with the ability and biometrics, whether it be heart rate or eye scanning or whatever the availability of the wearables I have, I can then start to challenge myself and begin to understand my own individual capacities, my optimum operating envelopes, and I start to look at control tests of how do I perform on 3 hours sleep, how do I perform on 8 hours sleep, and all of this can be fed into my digital profile. I can do that in conjunction with my instructors and or my operational unit, and that then starts to inform risk appetite, safety parameters, and importantly, I know when and how I can best operate. So I then go into my streaming, the data follows me, my instructors in the schoolhouse are able to see my potential, and they can start to see where I am best suited. I graduate, and importantly, as does everyone else. And the reason for this is because the instructors can start to see and do that targeted training to reduce washout, so that the training that is delivered is targeted and is targeted to the individual. So everyone graduates, which is great news. I then convert to my operational unit. Luckily, it's Typhoon. All this data is transferred to the unit, and again, they can see my history and they can see where I need to do some work, what I'm already good at. And the so what of this is, with this objective data set, I am potentially able to reduce the amount of time I have to spend in training to get to the front line, which is critical, especially in this current climate that we're currently experiencing. So objective data set will be able to enable informed decisions, evidence-based decisions on how quickly I might progress to a frontline unit. I deploy, I capture all this data, both from myself, from the system, the platform, that can then be fed back into an iterative feedback loop that the institution, whether it be the Air and Space Warfare Centre, will be able to start to build trend analysis of external factors in an operational space. We'll be able to take this data and share it across different units or organizations, with both in air, industry, academia. And all of that, as I said, with large data sets, we'll be able to start to challenge how we do things, and we'll be able to objectify this evidence into a manner that will build a better, faster, and potentially more lethal development of our TTPs and SOPs. I'm then selected to become a Tempest pilot because of my experiences and my potential, and this allows for high levels of human-machine teaming. So with that objective data set, it will understand what I can do best, and also where it could help me in areas that I might not be so strong. And then in 2044, at the end of my career, I'm a test pilot, and then hopefully I'm inspiring the next generation. So the so what of this vision, this story is all about the data, being able to carry my data set using hardware, wearables, and software, and start to leverage and harness this data. So VRAI and what we offer, heat is our solution that we feel is a very good step forward to this transition of this data-driven environment. We believe data is the untapped resource in simulation training, and increasingly the bridge between training and live operational environments. We transform data into actionable insights. And we do that broadly by 3 buckets. The first bucket is our profiling. Who am I? What competencies, currencies, and how much sleep I've had, for example. And then taking data, technical data from the sim. So how fast I'm flying. Am I flying at the right altitude? Have I got the right approach? Is it the right attack angle, etc.? And all the other external factors that the simulated environment offers. And the third bucket is my biometrics. So capturing as many biometrical points as possible, we are then able to start to begin at assessing cognitive load and cognitive stress levels. So we collect all the data on the left-hand side. That all funnels into heat. And then what we're aiming for are broadly enabling higher performance in less time and for lower cost. So how heat works is by 4 core functions that work together to produce these actionable insights. So we capture the data first. This is really important, is capturing this data. And it's the foundation on which everything is built. We need good data, and it needs to be in a standardized format. We then store this data, and we store this by standardizing the data. We will be adaptive to the customer and end user requirements, so whether they're cloud-based or on-prem, depending on security requirements. But importantly, it's how we store and standardize that data that allows for efficient machine learning post-collection. We then analyze that, so we sit side by side by specialists in whichever domain it is to understand exactly what it is they want to improve, how they can get their operators and people to be better. This is a quick diagram to sort of showcase or explain broadly where we are with data. We are still in the subjective descriptive area. Where we need to be is working our way through data and collection of data through diagnostic, predictive, and prescriptive. And ultimately, we want to get to a prescriptive environment where we know by your potential, your characteristics, and your behavioral, what you will need to do, or we will need to do to help enhance your training to get you where you need to be quicker. And then finally, we visualize. So post-analysis in very near real time, sort of minutes post-mission finish, we will visualize this data, this performance onto a dashboard so that both the student and the instructors are able to assess performance against metrics previously agreed upon. So that's a quick canter through heat. We are deployed, we're working, we're live, we've worked with the Air Force, and we still are working with the Air Force on various projects on quantifying airmanship. We are deployed with the Irish Defence Force and running 24/7 with their armoured crew simulation. So not only assessing the individual performances, but as a crew and how crew dynamics work. And a big metrics and success that we feel is worth celebrating is initially when we landed with the IDF, the instructor to student ratio ratio was 1:3. It's now 1:12. So we've effectively been able to release people back to the front line, which is great news. And
That's
then
fantastic. I was going to say, Anthony, sorry to interrupt you, but we're coming up against a hard stop.
fine. Okay. I was pretty much done, Tess. Sorry. I spent
Yeah.
too much time on my story,
No,
imagining.
no. I just wanted to reinforce the data bit because I'm a data nerd as well, and it is so important. People don't realize. And I had a very good chat with Niall from your team yesterday with MS&T and Halldale on the fact that we need to be capturing this more right at the beginning. So for the
Yeah.
reuse and also to inform the large language models into AI, which is going to be increasingly, critical. So brilliant job. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Tess. And
if
really look forward to seeing you.
If anybody wants to know more, you can obviously come and meet VRAI. Go and look at vraisimulation.com for more information on there. Comment below and yeah, get in touch with Anton, Niall, and Pat and the team, and they'll be very happy to meet you in
Perfect.
under 2 weeks now.
Oh, can't wait.
I can't wait. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, and we'll come back to you soon. I'm now going to bring in Ben Bennett. We've got a full packed program this afternoon. So Ben is coming in now from InVeris.
Sorry,
Hey,
Luminous.
how are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon.
Thank you very much for joining us. You have got the biggest space on the show floor at DSET this year. You're bringing so much.
Ben is Luminous, Tess.
Luminous, sorry, Luminous. I don't know why I've got InVeris. I don't know why I had you
No
down as
problem.
InVeris, Ben. Well, you're in the innovation zone for the first time.
Yes,
This
we
year.
are, yes. Yeah,
First
great.
time exhibitors, right?
Yeah, that's right. First time.
And what are you looking forward to most about coming?
Yeah, for us, it's we've been working in the oil and gas sort of sector for a long time, and we're just looking to see what's happening in the defence and seeing whether we can pivot and bring some of our experience and solutions from the oil and gas sector into the defence sector.
No, 100%. And I think, when I speak to your team, first of all, when we first discuss things, defence are looking for solutions that already exist outside so that we don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. And vice versa, you might come in and see something that would apply to the oil and gas industry and take that back out with you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm not going to chat loads now. I'm going to hand over to you, and I'll come in at the end, and we'll crack on.
Okay.
Do you want to are you going to be presenting slides?
Yes, I'll just share my screen, so 2 seconds.
Perfect. And again, if anybody wants to ask Ben questions for him to answer at the end, please put comments in on our YouTube channel.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, thanks for having me on the webinar today. My name's Ben. I'm the CEO of the Luminous Group. And today I'm going to give you a very brief overview of Luminous XR, which is our immersive training platform. So just to give you a little bit of background on us, we've actually been going for quite some time. We started back in 2004, and we started as a 3D mapping company. So digitizing complex industrial environments using technologies like 3D laser scanning and photogrammetry, mainly for engineering purposes. But we've always been looking to see how we can add additional value to our customers. Once we've created those 3D models, could we bring them into a games engine? Could we use them to enhance their trainings, operations, maintenance procedures? So we were early adopters of VR. We started exploring the different technologies back in sort of 2015 with the Oculus headsets that came out. And it was really sort of 2019 when we began building out our immersive training platform, which I'm going to show you today. So out of our solutions, we still do a little bit of laser scanning because quite often our customers don't have 3D models of their locations or equipment or assets. So we'll come in and 3D laser scan it to build those 3D environments. But most of our focus now is on our XR content creation tools and our immersive training platform. We also do some work around digital twins as well. It's the immersive training platform that I'm going to be showing you today. So when we first started looking at how we could develop immersive training content, what we found was it was pretty challenging to do. And the reason being was you were effectively building a video game from scratch each time. So it was time consuming and costly. So we started looking at, is there a better way we could do this? Could we build out the tools and platform to make it much more efficient and more cost effective to build this type of training content? So the fruits of this labor over the last 5 years are our Luminous XR immersive training platform. And when we talk about XR, we talk about a spectrum of devices. So at one end of the spectrum, you've got the physical world, You've got things like AR, augmented reality, smart glasses, overlaying information on the screen. Other end of the spectrum, you've got the digital world, and you've got virtual reality when you're closed off in that completely simulated environment. And there's also the new sort of range of mixed reality headsets where you can see the real world around you, and you have holographic content augmented into the real environment. So our platform supports the development of content for this entire spectrum of devices. So what we've ended up developing is sort of two core elements. We've created a content authoring tool called Flow, which allows us to build our immersive training content. And then we've got a web-based platform for managing and delivering that content. So just to give you a bit of an overview of what Flow is. So we use the Unity games engine to build training content. Now you're probably aware there's multiple games engines out there. There's Unity or Unreal, but we found Unity has the most flexibility and allows us to build content to multiple platforms. But one of the challenges with Unity is you have to be a coder, and it's quite challenging to develop and build content. So we wanted to create a tool that anyone with a little bit of Unity experience could use to build pretty complex training content. So what Flow is it's a visual scripting tool for Unity. It allows you to build complex linear training scenarios by dragging and dropping nodes and attaching them to 3D objects. So it means instead of having to employ sort of high-end developers, if someone with a little bit of Unity experience can really get up to speed building training content very, very efficiently. Now, this is a tool that we developed initially internally to use, but we now have it available to our partners and third parties to use to build their own content, or if we've built content for them, they can use it to adapt and edit that content as well. Now, when we started building our immersive training content, we found there was certain types of training that would come up time and time again. So things like troubleshooting scenarios, linear technical training, where you're maybe following a standard operating procedure, taking a machine apart, putting it back together, taking a machine in or out of operation. More hazard recognition based scenarios where you may be going into an environment, following an inspection process, identifying hazards and the corrective actions, or simply more exploratory training where you're in an open world environment and you can explore it and learn at your own pace. So as part of our Flow package, we've pre-built templates with all of this functionality ready to go. So it makes it very efficient for us to build immersive training content going forward. On top of that, and core to the training content we develop, we've come up with 3 main training modes, which we find work really effectively for reinforcing training. So the way this works, we've got assisted learning mode, practice mode, and assessment. So to start with, if a new student was doing some hard skills training, we'd initially put them in assisted learning mode. So imagine you might have a procedure how to repair an engine. In assisted learning mode, you'd have step-by-step instructions taking you through that process. There'd be audio narrative, there'd be visual cues. So a bit like having a one-to-one instructor telling you how to carry out that process. The user can't deviate from the process, they can't do anything correct, they've got to learn the correct procedure. Once they've been through assisted learning and they're familiar with it, we put them in a practice mode. All the guidance is turned off. They've got to recall the process from memory. If they do anything incorrectly, the app will tell them they've done it wrong and put them back a step and they can try again. Or we can build in consequences into the training. So they might open the wrong valve, there's a gas leak or there's an explosion to really reinforce the learning as well. Once they've been through and they've built up that muscle memory, they've memorized the entire process, we then put them in assessment mode and we can either give them a hard or soft fail or grade them depending on how you want to assess your students effectively. So we find this really works well for reinforcing the learning. Just to give you sort of a quick example of the type of content that works very well with our platform, it's sort of maintenance-based training. So we've put together a small demo that we'll be showing at the conference. So this is for an Abrams tank. So Abrams tanks are used globally, and specific use cases in the likes of Ukraine. These tanks are maybe not as available, or they don't have engineers who are trained up on certain procedures. And if they do have equipment, they don't waste, put additional wear and tear on them using for training. So we put together a scenario here, which is taking through how to adjust and do a track tensioning scenario. So this is our assisted learning mode. So you see there's a UI panel telling the student what to do. And as they go through step by step, I'll just skip this one. This is sort of, there's highlights on the tools. It'll tell them which tool to pick up, and it'll guide them through the process step by step. So this will be one of the examples that we'll be showing at the show. Now, other features that we have within the Flow tool is we have localization built in, so we can very quickly convert all the training into multiple languages using Google Text-to-Speech and Google Translate. When you start any of the training for the first time and put the headset on, you start in a lobby environment, and this can all be branded up for your custom colors, logos, branded avatars, uniforms, all those sort of things. And core to the platform is multi-user. So everything is built with multi-user built in. So this means for any training scenario, you can have up to 20 simultaneous students in the same environment. Typically, the instructor will be on a desktop, and we've got a lot of advanced controls for the instructor to manage the students, make different students active so they can collaboratively work through the task, hide them, kick them from the session, everything you'd expect from a sort of multi-user environment. We've recently introduced a gamification feature into the platform as well. So we have the concept of achievements, awards, medals, leaderboards, and scores as you go through. And then when you complete those assessments, you get certificates in there as well. So though we primarily develop everything for VR, because in the VR, it's fully immersive, you know, you're interacting with that 3D space as if it was a real world, building up that muscle memory. But we do enable desktop mode for every scenario we create as well. So it just gives that additional flexibility for people who don't want to put the headset on, or maybe don't have access to a headset. You can still go through and do all that training using a mouse and keyboard to run through it. So once we've built our content with the Flow tool, we then have our web-based platform called Portal for managing that content. And this is an enterprise-grade system with all the security you would expect. So Portal is the sort of central point for managing your users and content, for capturing analytics. We can integrate it with single sign-on if you want to use your company user credentials to log in. And we can export all the training records and data from there to whichever LMS system you're using. Now, Portal is available in a number of different deployments. For highly secure environments, we can do a fully on-premise solution. But for other less secure environments, we can do deployments in the cloud via Azure, either regional or global. So it really just depends on the cybersecurity requirements and your IT policies. Within the portal, it's a class-based system. So you create classes, you can then assign content to users, schedule sessions. And for your trainees, they have a digital dashboard where they can log in. They can see their training history, the latest results, and any scheduled sessions, any group sessions or assessments that are scheduled for the future. Now, key for students is also this PIN code, and it's a PIN that they use to, when they're in the headset, to connect them to the portal and all their assigned content as well. And for any content that we run through, all the data is captured for all different training modes as well. So we have a whole range of data, analytics and insights that's captured from that training. So that's a very quick overview of the sort of Flow tool in the portal. What I'll do now is just jump into a sort of live demo and just show you how that looks in practice. So bear with me, I'll just switch screen. Okay, so as I said, for any content we create, the first thing you do when you put the headset on is you start off in a lobby environment. So this is our Luminous lobby. So I'm logged in on desktop at the moment. So I'm using my mouse to look around. I'm using my keyboard to move. But if you're in VR, it'd be the exact same experience. Now I can navigate around, I can go up, I can interact with objects, I can pick up tools, let's pick up a drill here. So anything that you would do in VR, you can do on the desktop version as well. So the idea of the lobby is it's a sort of staging point. It's where you wait for any sessions to start. We have an orientation mode in here. So if you were running this in VR, you could hit this big play button and it'd be a sort of avatar appear and take you through and teach you how to use the individual controls and prepare you for the training session. And we also have some mini games in there as well, just to keep people occupied. But the main thing is this big screen at the front. So this is where sort of all the interactions take place. So what I'll do now is I'll go over and I'll put in my PIN code, and this will then connect me to my allocated sessions and training data. So it's now connecting the lobby to the portal. Now that I'm in here, I can select an avatar, and then you've got a few different options. you can go into any training that's been created in a single user mode. And in single user, you've got the different training modes there, and you can just run through at your own pace. I can go into a multi-user session if there's been a scheduled multi-user session for me or an assessment scheduled. I can see my profile here as well. I can see the class leaderboards. I can see my achievements and any certificates as well. So what I'm going to do is just jump in and show a quick demo. So I'm going to go into single user assisted learning mode. And it's going to show me the content that's been assigned to me. So at the moment, I've got a few demo scenarios here. These are oil and gas related scenarios. So I have an immersive workshop environment, which brings in equipment at 1-to-1 scale. I've got a more linear-based training scenario, which takes me through, which is crude sampling, and I've got a hazard recognition scenario. So what I'll do is I'll just jump into crude sampling. It'll take a few minutes to connect to the scenario. And I'm going in the assisted learning mode. So this will be taking me step by step how to learn how to do this procedure. So if I had audio on, there'd be audio talking through the UI panel. I've got a text box here telling me that I'm going to be collecting crude sample. And on desktop, I can simply go through using the keyboard commands to start going through this scenario. It's telling me what to do. Grab the sample bottle. And it would go through step by step, showing me the actual correct process. Now, a few of these sort of additional features we have, which are unique to us and our platform, is I can bring up a hand menu. And here I can see the different gamification elements or any medals or achievements that I've got. But because our flow tool is a sort of linear-based tool, we have the ability to jump forwards or backwards through any step. So at the moment, you can see down here on the left, I'm on step 3. I can jump forward to any step. So you don't have to run through the whole scenario. You could just jump to key elements if you want to concentrate on certain areas, or if you maybe want to do a spot check and just evaluate a student on a part of the process, you can jump to those elements. And in multi-user, everyone's synced together and we all jump to the correct place. So that's an example of a sort of linear step-by-step scenario. I'll very quickly show you a sort of immersive workshop. So again, I've jumped back to the lobby. I can then go back into another scenario. And again, this scenario is what we call immersive workshop, and it basically enables us to load in large 3D models. So imagine you've got some sort of equipment, you don't have access to it readily in the real world. We can bring it into here at 1-to-1. We can jump into a multi-user session. We can load in selected content. Again, this is an oil and gas scenario, so we're loading a bit of equipment. And the sort of premise is, rather than taking students to the site or to the real equipment, you can bring it in a 1-to-1 scale. I can learn about it. I can see cutaways, inner workings of the equipment, and explore it in a safe, controlled environment. Okay, so I'm going to jump back to the lobby. And that is a very quick overview of the Luminous platform and the types of content we can develop.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for that. That was fascinating. And you've done so much that's so relevant, again, horizontally across so many different industries. Particularly at the beginning when you were talking about, the health and safety, the hazard recognition, that's in nearly, every profession, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're bringing all of that with you to
yes, we'll be there. We've got lots of live demos, and if anyone has headsets, we have live demo. We could demo they can take away and try themselves. But yeah, we'll be available to take you through and show you all the different features of the platform.
That's fantastic. And I also thought your message about not having to be a coder to actually access using the tech, using the system, that's just great.
Absolutely. That's what we're finding is there's been a lot of barriers to entry because of the cost and the skills required. So we're trying to almost democratize and make it accessible to anybody.
Yeah. So what are you looking for to, what are the challenges that you're looking for to actually understand a bit more about coming into the defense side?
I think for us, obviously, it's a very new market. We're really looking for partners, people to work with, people who've already got domain knowledge and experience in the sector. We've got the technology and the platform, but we don't have the domain knowledge. So hopefully we can come away that we've met some partners and people we can work with going forward.
No, that's fantastic. And before DSET, if you're already registered, you can contact Ben and the team through the virtual platform, or you can go to luminousxr.com, have I got that right, for your website? and use the contact form there. Ben, any other way? Can they hit you up on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Search me up on LinkedIn. But the website's the best option. Go and have a, we've got plenty of demos and examples on the website.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Really look forward to seeing you in just a couple of weeks. Hopefully it'll be sunny in Bristol and we can all go down to the docks afterwards. And yeah, thanks very much again. And can't wait to see you as the first timers at DSET this year.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben.
Thanks, Tess.
Now, we don't have a live presenter for the next session. We have InVeris have sent us a video. And so we are now going to switch to that shortly, and Abby's going to bring that up. So it's over to you, Abby, and this is from InVeris training.
Welcome to InVeris. We're proud to support defense and security forces worldwide with one mission in mind: advancing human performance. DSET brings together the global defense simulation community to push readiness forward. At InVeris, we deliver the world's most advanced training technologies, so smart, life-saving decisions become second nature. Instantly, accurately, safely, when needed most.
InVeris is a leading-edge munitions training technology company at the forefront of advancing human performance. In fact, only InVeris has everything it takes for people to make smarter decisions second nature, instantly, accurately, and safely. We provide the world's most comprehensive performance solutions, including InVeris advanced visualization technology that can improve human performance both physically and mentally. InVeris, advancing human performance.
Our legacy began nearly a century ago with Caswell International. It evolved through FATS, became part of Megit, and now leads the future as InVeris Training Solutions. With over 15,000 live-fire ranges and 7,500 virtual systems deployed, InVeris is trusted by the UK Ministry of Defence, the Australian Defence Forces, the Italian Army, the US Army and Marine Corps, and more than 130 military bases worldwide. We're not just building tools, we're helping warriors prepare for the moments that matter most.
Our troops knowingly risk their lives for our country. But mortarmen also risk lifelong side effects from training itself. Repeated exposure to blast overpressure creates problems in concentration, memory, slowed thinking and reaction time, hand-eye coordination, headaches, irritability, and tinnitus, all further compounded in deployment. But there's simulated weapons training that advances human performance by putting safety first without sacrificing real-world experience. Heavy weapons training with simulators in combat scenarios. While combat endangers troop safety,
Training with heavy weapons, like mortars, can expose trainees to dangerous overpressure. We solve that. InVeris simulation systems recreate the realism of heavy weapon environments without the physical toll. Our tech reduces risk while improving performance, retention, and safety. The FATS platform is recognized around the world. It blends high-fidelity ballistics, video-based scenarios, and real-time data to deliver unmatched tactical immersion. Here's what makes InVeris unique. We combine live fire realism with virtual and augmented training. We lead in weatherproof AR and multi-user VR environments. Our data tracks every breath, every decision, every shot. We support military police, close quarters units, and allies worldwide. It's not just about advanced tech. It's about better outcomes, safer trainees, and smarter decisions in real-world conditions.
Get it!
From battlefield prep to urban response, InVeris enables mission-ready training for the most demanding forces on Earth. Whether it's a Royal Marine in the UK or a Special Forces operator in Singapore, they train with InVeris because we're reliable, proven, and constantly innovating. Thank you for visiting InVeris virtually, and come see our products in our booth at DSET 2025. We're here to support your mission. InVeris. Better, smarter, faster, safer.
Well, that was a really great video from InVeris. Thank you so much to their team for that. I've followed FATS for the last 20 years and used the system, and I can actually shoot straight now, partly because of them. And Mark Mears, who's an absolute top chap, will be at DSET with his team. And like I said earlier, they've got the biggest space on the show floor. There's going to be so much going on, really interactive, and I can't wait for everybody to get involved with that. Next, we actually have Simon Leng waiting from SimCentric, who are also stalwarts of DSET and have been with us for the last 10 years as well. So I'm very excited to welcome Simon to the room. Simon, how are you doing and are you there?
Okay, start video.
There we go. Audio and video, all good. Simon, how's it going?
Yeah, good, thanks. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. I was just saying, you know, we've known each other about 20 years now. We haven't changed at all, have we?
Not at all. Not
No.
at all.
Exactly the same as we were 20 years ago.
Exactly.
Look, thank you very much for joining us today, and we are really looking forward to hearing what you guys are bringing to DSET this year. What are you actually looking forward to this year? It's our 10th anniversary.
I know, well, having a party or something like that, but apart from that, yeah, just getting together with people again, and also the conference side. The conference side is always very good.
Yeah, and the program this year is really outstanding. We're really chuffed with it.
Excellent.
So, are you going to be sharing some slides with us?
I am going to be sharing some slides. If I can just remember where in Zoom the share button
If you look at the bottom, if you just
yeah.
wiggle your mouse and look at the bottom in the middle, there's an arrow pointing upwards, and with it, there should be the word share underneath.
Oh, it's helpfully highlighted in green.
It is.
Right, there we go. Rock and roll.
And if anybody's got any questions for SimCentric, then please do put them in the live stream chat or comments below the channel, and we'll bring them in for Simon to answer at the end.
Lovely. You'll count those in, will you?
Yeah, we will do. And also, you know, if we run out of time, of course, they can contact you through the virtual platform or actually come and meet you in person in 2 weeks in Bristol. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Right, I'm going to hand over to you now, Simon. Thank you very much for joining
okay.
us, and I'll see you before 15:15.
No worries. No
Thank
worries.
you.
Thanks, Tess, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very, very much for taking the time to listen and to view the presentation. My name, as on the screen, is Simon Leng, and I'd like to take the next 10, 15 minutes or so to provide an overview of SimCentric, our products, and also what you'll be able to see at DSET next month. So this is SimCentric. We are an independent software and technology company, and we provide our solutions either direct to armed forces or to system integrators who we hope will utilize SimCentric technology as part of the larger system that they deliver to their customers. In terms of SimCentric and the main product areas, our areas of specialization is commercial off-the-shelf products focused on training specifically, and we're providing solutions for the support of training really in three main areas: virtual training, joint fires training, and also live fire range safety. So those are the three main areas. And what I'd like to do, with the assistance of some videos, I'd like to take you through overviews of each of the products and the product areas that we're involved in. So our products SAFTAC and SAF Solo are virtual training solutions which are focused primarily on Alpha and Bravo training levels by providing instructional support for initial training tasks such as skill at arms, navigation, more specialist tasks such as platform recognition, and also the development of TTPs and SOPs for platoon, section level force-on-force training. SAFTAC and SAF Solo are both built on top of the Epic Games Unreal Engine, which really allows our products to directly leverage and utilize the huge investments made by Epic in consumer games such as Fortnite and their overall investments into the actual engine, core engine itself. SAFTAC is being used at an enterprise level in Australia, being part of the recent Land Simulation Core program, which is being put in place to revolutionize the delivery and utilization of simulation across all levels of Australian Army training. In the UK, it's used by both Army and the RAF specifically to support the delivery of early years training, taking advantage of the inbuilt instructional tools, which are designed to speed up and automate the generation of training scenarios, minimizing the overhead and utilization of SAFTAC. We also are involved in joint fires training, and Sapphires is a joint fires training tool used to provide instructional support for forward observer, JFO, and JTAC training. The video sequence that we've got running on the screen at the moment, shown here, describes how Sapphires can be used as a fully integrated module with DVS2, VBS4, the virtual training system, adding doctrinal joint fires functionality whilst utilizing the content libraries, terrain, scenario, and other capabilities of the VBS4 engine. Sapphires can be accredited to meet the JTAC MOA and can support training for Type 1, 2, and 3 controls, and can be configured to deliver everything from individual training setups through classroom support, instructor-led classroom training, fire support team setups, and then scaling right up to collective training exercises. For artillery and naval gunfire, Sapphire supports NATO, Commonwealth, and also custom, which is country-specific doctrines, which really avoids the need for any potential negative training. Customers can train to the exact doctrine that they prescribe for use for indirect fires. Sapphires can also be integrated with real and emulated fire control systems, along with digital CAS. The SimCentric fires products have been widely used across NATO, coalition, and aligned countries, including the US, Canada, many European countries, including Sweden, Poland, Denmark, Italy, and also outside of those regions into Asia Pacific, including New Zealand and Australia. In the UK, SimCentric are a major subcontractor to Elbit Systems for the Joint Fires Synthetic Training Program, or JFST. The underlying fire software that you see in this video has been delivered to Elbit and rolled out to the artillery and the JTAC schoolhouses here in the UK, all using the previous generation of DVS and the VBS3 modules. But Sapphires itself can be integrated with multiple virtual systems, mentioned before VBS4, VBS3, and also game engines such as Unreal and Unity. For JFST, it has been integrated with DVS1 and VBS Blue IG, but it is compatible with the later versions of software. And finally, in terms of the product set from SimCentric, is SAF Foresight. SAF Foresight has entered service in Australia about 8 or 9 years ago, and next month will be used to support, for example, Operation Talisman Sabre. which is a major training activity run every 2 years between the Australian Defence Forces and the US military. This year's event involves forces from 19 nations and features over 30,000 personnel, and SAF Foresight will be used as one of the exercise planning and safety validation tools to help keep all participants on the exercise safe, in particular safe practices and movement on the ranges, and also bringing in new capabilities such as the integration of accurately forecasted weather, in particular to aid situations where amphibious landing may be taking place, so forecasting sea states, parachute drops in terms of wind, altitude, and also critically in Australia, it's still within the winter months, things like temperature, wet bulb temperature, and other factors which are critical to individual participant safety. In terms of the product, SAF Foresight is a server-based real-time 3D live fire exercise design and management tool built by SimCentric. Activities can be planned anywhere in the world with high-fidelity mapping and shape boundaries for military training areas with multiple doctrine combinations. And SAF Foresight includes ammunition trace generators, which allows the users to rapidly build all in-service ammunition natures in addition to future or experimental ammunition types. This includes all distances, angles, air danger heights, and high explosive natures. And the ammunition trace generator allows entry of multiple doctrine types, including dismounted, mounted, demolitions, and mortars. The ammunition template library then provides all approved ammunition natures across doctrines that planners can then use in their live fire practice. These can be searched and filtered as required and customized to match the exact information requirements for each doctrine. The range danger generator then allows rapid and intuitive planning for any training location in the world, and allows the user to generate live fire ranges that would normally take hours to create, can be drawn within minutes. The RDA generator also includes a multi-day practice option designed as highly intuitive click-and-place user interface with doctrinally correct planning data fields, so planners can employ all ammunition natures drawn from the template library, including variations such as targets, elevation, and practice types. The planner is then able to automatically check the template for safety compliance with range adjustment, relocation, and relocation if needed. The planner may also confirm movement box dimensions to ensure that they are adequate for the practice. Also included are both range-specific and organizational notifications that allow updates to be passed to all users in real time during the exercise. Once the planner completes their range design, this can be saved and viewed in 3D and automatically assigned an activity number, allowing ease and reliability of management. And if a hard copy of the practice is required, this can be downloaded with correct map ratios, data fields, Mercator settings, and then printed or emailed as required. SAF Foresight also enables supporting documentation such as briefs, ammunition requests, instructions, and information to be attached for submission to the range design, and then this digital submission is then completed through range appointments with automated email alerts for online review and approval, allowing for a fully digital range planning and approval process. And this process is consistent across all doctrine types, as shown with the user interface updating to show relevant data fields and planning information necessary for additional doctrines employing armored vehicles, aviation, artillery, mortars, and demolitions. Upon completion, all the doctrines can be observed in the main 3D viewing portal with relevant overlays and markups applied, and the planner can then review the range, including the location and key enablers such as observation points. There's also distance proximity matrix that allows the user to identify distances between various planning locations, and when the forward line of own troops is too close to mortar targets, for example, safety checks identify this, allowing the planner to then review distances and move either the target or troops to a location that is both safe and compliant. The RDA library allows the user to review all created templates across the doctrine types and across all stages of submission, and the user can then visualize any combination of range templates as desired. The SAF Foresight Timeline Viewer allows the user to look at any combination of planned or scheduled ranges across all doctrine types and allows it to view a real-time common operating picture showing active and forthcoming ranges in any training area based on planned or scheduled practice. The reference document upload then allows the user to remotely access relevant information such as safety policies and checks, with the terrain feature allowing the planner to visualize the actual terrain to refine activity, planning movements, and safety. Target placements, visualizations allows for their safe positioning in targets, and appointment zone locations allow the planner to show where relevant positions and key personnel are within the range practice, including safety icons so that users can easily identify the layout and the design of the range. 3D volumetric visual aids can be added for restricted operating zones, no-fly zones, no fire zones, and so forth. This allows the planner to deconflict by both location and altitude the whole live fire practice from the surrounding restrictions. With color-coded post-it notes, they then enable the planners to add relevant information such as ammunition load, radio frequencies, target configuration, and concurrent activities. Well, that brings me to an end of the presentation, just describing SimCentric, the products and the areas that we're involved in, some examples of how some of our key customers use our underlying technology. Myself and some colleagues will be at DSET for all of the days, and we look forward to meeting with you. You can certainly make contact with me virtually through some of the platform features that's enabled by Ruddy Nice within the system. But also, I think there may even be, I don't know how we're doing for time tests, whether we've got time for any questions, but certainly happy to take some offline.
Well, I've got a question for you, actually, Simon. You know, you've seen how this industry and the deliverables have developed over 20 years, but over the last 10 years of DSET. What do you think are going to be the next? And by the way, COTS, so important that people don't really realize, and COTS isn't mentioned as much as it should be now. And for those of you that don't know COTS, it's basically where you can buy the product and it does the vast majority of the job without you having to buy an expensive bespoke system. Fair synopsis? What do you see the developments being in the next year or 5 years for our space?
Well, I think speed of delivery, if there's one thing that's been shown in the Ukraine conflict at the moment, it's the speed of iteration that is just crucial. And I think COTS plays towards that, having a foundation that you can build upon that does something immediately out of the box with agile organizations that can then add on top of that to tailor it to specific requirements. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges compared to the last, let's say 10, 15 years or so ago, where the pace of change was certainly slower than what we're seeing today. You know,
yeah, definitely, I would agree. Agile delivery, but in a genuine sense, rather than just being spoken about, is absolutely critical right now, isn't it? What are you looking forward to, or part of the program in particular this year? Have you had a look?
I think in terms of the highlights, it's going to be the networking opportunities, particularly in the breaks, but also the conference agendas and just updates on programmatics. So those are going to be some of the key things that we'll be looking out for. Also, I'm bringing some of our younger team along as well, so they're going to have the first experience there as well. So that's fantastic. Going to be good for them.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, anyone under 30 can join our next gen team, which we support. And they organize their own socials and they're building their own network, and it's just fantastic to see, isn't it, Simon, that next generation of talent coming through?
Yeah, exactly.
So look, if you need more information, like Simon said, hit him up on the socials or go to simct.com to see more case studies and everything else that SimCentric does and delivers, because it's a lot, not something you can pack into 14 minutes. We really appreciate your time, Simon, and I can't wait to see you in under 2 weeks.
No, likewise.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks very
Tess.
much, Simon. I'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
Right. To all of our guests and viewers online at the moment, we are now going to go into a video contribution now. I'm going to make sure I get this right this time, from Calian. And then after this, we will be having a break until 15:30. We will leave everything connected, so there won't be a different live link. You can just come back. So give everybody time to go and get a cup of tea, get your admin done, get the laundry out, whatever it is you're doing. But now we're going to go live to the video contributed by Calian, who are one of our gold sponsors, and we're really excited to see them on the show floor at DSET in 2 weeks. Thanks very much.
Hello and good day. My name is Roch Pelletier and I'm the Regional Vice President for Calian Defence Europe and UK. I'm a retired Major General from the Canadian Armed Forces, and my last pre-retirement post was as the head of the Canadian Army Doctrine and Training Centre, the Canadian equivalent of the Land Warfare Centre. In this role, I was responsible for Canadian Army doctrine, lessons learned, all individual collective training, and professional military education. I could not have been successful without Calian, since most of that training was directly supported by their end-to-end solution from design to after-action reviews. Calian was a perfect partner to build readiness while addressing my shortfalls in people, expertise, and technology. NATO and its members face clear challenges. The need to rebuild new capabilities for multi-domain operation is urgent. Enhanced readiness for the Joint Force is a top priority. Improving interoperability and interchangeability across the Alliance is a must. Calian takes an end-to-end approach to deliver large, complex training exercises. We put training objective at the core of our solution and integrate the right technology for the training objective, not the other way around. The following video features our delivery team explaining the Calian approach.
Really starts with our end-to-end advantage, and that's really just steeped in the 25 years of training experience that we have. And it really comes down to the talented employees that we have both across Canada and in Europe. Many of them, working on their second careers and have a deep level of experience in their career. And so that formulates a lot of knowledge and experience that we then use to kind of, do things like exercise planning, exercise management, and that's really where it starts. We take that training experience and build that into our exercise planning. We've got some tooling in that, and we're going to cover that with Maestro ED. And of course, when we start looking at Sim to C2, that's where we start to look at how we create these effects, and having that interoperability and having the flexibility to be interoperable, I think, allows our teams to really, as Jay was talking about, provide that realism. And of course, while we're running things and we're in delivery, providing that real-time feedback with data analytics, being able to answer key questions while we're in training allows us to iterate and change what we're doing to better, suit the training outcome. And of course, after it's all said and done, we've got this large amount of data, and we look at after-action review, be able to create products and help our customers really figure out where things went well and where things could be improved. Of course, we're always evolving these capabilities. We're always working directly with our teams. We're working with their customers. We're working on real requirements. And that in itself is also iterative. So we're always, everything that we have capability-wise is always a function of what was needed in the training environment, and in order to kind of deliver what we need to. Of course, Jay alluded to this evolution. Well, we've seen an evolution in the complexity of training. So, back in the day, it was a little bit more simplistic, single training audience, simple mills, and now we see a lot more organizations coming to the table that all want to get some level of training out of that, and we need to make sure that we manage those interactions appropriately. Of course, the operating environments, have certainly gotten more complicated, more challenging with technology, and the training environment needs to reflect that. So, we're always making sure that those two things are in sync, and so we're always adding new technology as we go and evolving them. Of course, we're always bringing, people together, the right mix of people and experience and process with all this technology support, and that's really where Calian really shines. We do have there are people that talk about end-to-end solutions, but really Calian's the only one that can really pull all of these pieces together. And of course, we work with every customer individually. We look at their organizational objectives. We look at what kind of operational tools they have, what current capabilities they have, whether they have their own sims or we need to bring them. We take those inputs, we blend everything together, and what that looks like for every customer is different. And so, and then of course we get our outputs. And in the short term, it could be higher readiness. It could be, further training requirements. And of course, in the long term, we can look at, funding decisions and doctrine changes or process changes. So, that really just highlights, Calian's end-to-end advantage. Of course, everything starts, with the training needs analysis, aim, scope, and training objectives, really defining the conditions for success. We start to look at who's playing and who do we need to control so we can provide that synthetic wrap. Of course, we always establish a team, to kind of, a cross-functional team, whether that be on the scenario side or the technology side. We always have to work with subject matter experts from other areas and other organizations. We do whole of government exercise, so we bring in lots of people. It requires lots of coordination, and we've got great tooling to help with that. We start to design high-level themes and storyboards and incidents. And then we have a writing team that comes in and starts to flesh those things out, establish timelines and whatnot. And that really then ties into, and we have a technology team that works hand in hand with that and make sure that right when we start to identify the effects that are required, we start to make the right choices around simulations. We always pick sims. We're agnostic in that fashion, so we pick what makes sense to deliver the effect that's required, because providing fidelity costs money. So very conscious of that. So we provide what is needed as needed. And of course, these changes can be dynamic, right? So certainly in the scenario, as the training audience reacts, we may need to change, and we need tooling that's easy to use and allows us to make those dynamic changes as a team. And so again, this whole thing's iterative, working with the customer, and it's really a proven process for us.
To deliver our end-to-end approach to large-scale military training, we rely on advanced tools that were built for purpose. Our proprietary Maestro ED allows exercise designers, developers, and planners to work in a single synthetic environment to work together. For radio communication and audio distribution service, EDS allows any communication systems to be plugged into a common environment with automated voice-to-text. For radio traffic, ADS reduces connective load in a headquarters and reduces noises. With a proven NATO expertise and reputation, our large pool of mentors and trainers directly contribute to reduce the time to competency and the time to readiness for any training. The following video shows the digital tools that Calian uses to deliver training.
Operating in a distributed environment, no matter how that architecture is developed and who has permissions, we can do the development no matter where you are. Is that correct, Eric?
Yeah, no, as long as, we can hang, the capability on a network, and as long as people have access to that network, then Certainly in the cloud, we take a lot more precautions and a lot of security, accreditations, a lot more. We have to pay attention for that. But yeah, I mean, especially in the whole government exercise, right? Because not every organization can connect to certain military networks, or beyond military networks. So sometimes it's really useful for that.
If I could just jump in real quick, another, the thing about Maestro that I really like the most is its distributed nature. Is you're able to develop that, so you could have writing teams in a bunch of different time zones, all contributing to the exercise. You can track as far as the exercise director goes. They can look and they can see how the injects are coming in. How's the writing effort going? Are we on track? Are we way behind? Are we way ahead? And then when it comes to actually delivery, if the training audience is having a problem and maybe they need a little bit of time, you can just take that inject and move it, slide it left so it's later. And when you do that, then that information is spread to everybody, all of exercise control. They know, okay, this inject's now delayed by 2 hours. Everybody's on the same sheet of music like that. You don't have to send out an email and then wait for replies back from everybody else. And we've used it, and it's a proven tool that we've used over the years.
Vicky, as a data interoperability framework, will link systems. However, we have additional products, for example, the audio distribution server, which collects the video piece, the audio piece, the human voice piece, and that allows us to communicate between simulated radios right over to operational radios. And people operating in one or the other or using one or the other would not know the difference as to which environment the other one is. It's that seamless. But the point being is, as we collect the human voice audio, we also do speech to text. So we transcribe it, and we have the ability to auto-populate the communications log and basically leverage and mine the data that comes from that. It actually reduces the cognitive load on duty officers or duty personnel in headquarters that have to monitor these nets. You can actually monitor more than one net easily. As a result of the tools being operating or doing a lot for you, and you can gain a whole lot of additional insight. Now it's a new capability. It's evolving. We're in early days in terms of leveraging the full potential of it, and there's lots of opportunities to grow it. But in essence, that's an example of how we can use what initially might be a simulation requirement, but turn it into an operational requirement, and basically use it on the high side or in the actual real live environment for operational reasons. And that's exactly how the ADS is going to be employed.
Yeah, just to be clear on that, when we talk about using operational systems, we're talking very much train as you fight, using the same radios, the same equipment, but taking that data into a simulated environment.
Exactly. The initial requirement for it was actually to provide the live environment, the real people operating in the field, back into the simulated environment. But as it turned out, and in so doing, we ended up creating a product that provided seamless integration across all audio sources, to the point where you can have simulated radios, real military, radios, but you can also add software-defined radios, walkie-talkies. You want to do domestic operations, you can link your troops with people on the ground operating under civilian disaster conditions and whatnot. So it's seamless. At the end of the day, it's about linking the right people for the job operationally, and it can be done with that. Given the recording, given the speech to text, you can basically conceive of the ADS in that context as a 911 call center on steroid.
Calian has been delivering simulation-based military training to the Canadian Armed Forces for almost 3 decades. This includes 15 years of experience in the exercise design, development, and delivery of NATO strategic and operational level exercises. Calian has supported and delivered combat readiness validation exercise for every battle group headquarters and above in Canada for the last 30 years. Recently, we delivered the Brown, Silver, and Gold exercises for major event security for the G7 summit held in June of 2025 in Canada. We delivered a similar exercise for the summit in 2018. If you are looking for a trusted strategic partner to provide mission-critical defense solution for complex training challenges or to improve your warfighting readiness, please stop by our booth to learn more about us. Looking forward to meeting you all soon.
Well, that was fascinating, and thank you to Calian for that video and quite deep oversight of what they're doing and what they're going to be bringing to DSET this year. And Roch, as he said, he will be here at DSET in a couple of weeks' time. And thanks to Dan and Jordan as well for contributing to the video. We're really looking forward to welcoming you to Bristol in a couple of weeks. So we are now going to have a break. Are we, Abby? Yes. I'm just coming.
Correct. Correct.
Correct. I'm correct. Do you know what? It's so rare that I hear that from Abby that I'm just gonna. Can you keep recording that and playing that on loop? I'm gonna make that my ringtone.
Oh, is that because you're normally wrong?
Moving on, everybody. That's an ex-Navy medic in the background you can hear. We're very much looking forward to seeing everybody at 3 o'clock. Stay tuned and we'll catch up with you then. Thanks very much.
That will be rejoining us at 3:30.
3:30. Absolutely. You see, you can't get a word in edgeways. Right. Thanks very much. See you at 3:30. Don't be late. Thanks very much. Bye. Right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the DSET webinar live stream here on YouTube today. We hope you've had a nice break, got your sandwiches, your cup of tea, and you're ready for the final 3 contributions for this afternoon. Next, we're really delighted to welcome I2 Group and Ethan Haddy from there. And this is the first time at DSET where we've had a dedicated stream on cyber. And that's thanks to the British Army Security and Cyber team requesting this specifically. And Ethan, you and I and the team talked about this and why you're coming to DSET this year. So I'm going to hand over to you now, but what are you looking forward to most in a couple of weeks' time in Bristol?
I think what we're looking forward to most is just getting being able to meet everyone, kind of see what's out there, see how everyone's using different systems and kind of what's changing and new out there in this industry.
Yeah, no, perfect. And also our training and simulation and wargaming communities, cyber and security is a massive thread through all of that. And it's not something that we've addressed in its entirety.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity and we're really looking forward to it.
Well, fantastic. I'm going to hand over to you now. Are you going to be presenting slides or?
Yeah, I have a couple slides I was going to talk through and use them as a background.
Perfect. And anybody watching, you can put questions for Ethan in the YouTube channel chat, and we will get those to him at the end of this. All right. Thanks, Ethan. I'm going to hand over to you now.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right. So my name is Ethan Haddy. Like it was mentioned, I'm the program director for our new product called I2 Overwatch. So essentially what this is us as I2 Group trying to go out there, increase our geospatial capabilities, and particularly make it a tool that can be used more for some of the simulation and training that the military and defense industry does. So I'll run through the slides here. As you have those questions, please put them in the chat and I'll be more than happy to answer those. So first is a overview of what is Overwatch. So this is a solution that can help a J2 or Intel officer quickly and reliably build and maintain an intelligence picture. So just a few kind of key questions in here. Who's it for? What can it do for me? Essentially, like I mentioned, it's for those all-source analysts. So whether they're providing strategic, operational, or tactical support, it'll allow them to process, fuse, and prepare intelligence so much quicker and in a more contained environment. So that way they're not having to jump between different solutions and different platforms, be able to do all those tasks in one space. What we've incorporated in here is NATO standard symbology, as well as data storage and exchange formats. So this way you can actually bring in those different symbols and icons that we're all familiar with from building out, whether it was creating them in PowerPoint, drawing them on acetate, whatever it may have been. We now have those symbols in our system that you can go ahead and custom create to fit your needs. And then the biggest thing, like I mentioned, is it just saves you time. It lets you come in, kind of clean up some of those repetitive tasks, as well as automate the fusion and enrichment of that data that we're pulling in. So as I mentioned, what we want to do is support the full spectrum of intelligence. So whether that's going to be strategic, operational, tactical, looking at creating intelligence briefs, force deployments, counterintelligence, geospatial, supply chain, whatever it might be, we see this as a way to kind of tackle all those different problem sets. And on the intelligence cycle here, you'll notice that I highlighted 3 key areas. So that's going to be the processing and exploitation, analysis and production, as well as the dissemination piece of it. So once all that intelligence has been collected, you then have to decide, what do I do with it? So this is where we can come in, start processing it, adding it into our system and software, and allowing you to see that full grand picture of exactly what's going on in the world. On the left, there are some different capabilities. So I mentioned the symbology and format support, but also some of the key pieces there is the intelligence picture creation. So this will allow you, once you've created your chart with your different entities, be able to directly add them to a map and then go ahead and do geospatial queries, searches to further enrich that information. And once you have your overlay and layers created, you can then go ahead and export that. So you can share it with whether it's the senior analyst, the decision maker, whoever that might be. You'll be able to give them a nice clean copy, giving a full overview of everything that is contained in there. Now, in here, I know this is a bit wordy, so I'll kind of go through it and kind of call out some of the key pieces in here. These are some of the new features and benefits of i2 Overwatch. So as I mentioned, it'll allow you to layer multiple geospatial data sets. So whether that's satellite imagery, different overlays to give you a comprehensive view of the environment. This will then allow you as the analyst to go ahead and do real-time visualization of your area of operation, lines of communication, named areas of interest, alongside that order of battle that you have on your chart. So you'll be able to take what you have just kind of in a standard chart view like we've done in the past, and now be able to have different pictures of it. So whether you want the top-down view, or if you want to see exactly how they're laid out, you can go ahead and do that now. And then the other key piece here is it's going to allow the correlation of data from multiple sources. So this, whether it's intelligence reports, geospatial data, open source, to then start identifying trends. So we'll use a combination of our existing software, as well as some enhancements specifically for the defense industry to allow you to process the reports, extract that text and information, and then go ahead and add them to your chart and map. The other key piece here is something we're introducing that's new is going to be the ability to customize, reorder, and create your own layers on the map there. So if you want to have a layer just for the enemy forces, friendly forces, and then break it all the way down from having a brigade, battalions underneath them, and then the companies and so on, you now have that capability so you can have a nice clean layer management and be able to visualize exactly what you want when you want to see it. And then the last part in there is, once again, that the geospatial symbology. So it's not just those NATO symbols I mentioned, it'll be also be things like control measures or adding in those areas of operation, the named areas of interest, your NAIs. You'll be able to easily draw those on the map and have that around to be able to view and once again create that complete and total intelligence picture for you. So this is kind of how we see Overwatch being used. The top one is going to be the tactical support to planning. So it can help those military planners define their areas of operation, including different areas of threat, logistical routes, and critical points of infrastructure. And then it can also be used with civil military cooperation and humanitarian aid. So whether that's planning distribution areas, potential threats to civilian and military personnel that are participating or receiving help from those operations. And the key thing that we're really happy about, and part of the reason why we wanted to present this and bring this out to DSET, is going to be the military training simulation environment. So now you'll be able to start drawing out those different scenarios, creating a more immersive and enhanced training environment using everything inside of Analyst Notebook to once again give that full picture and then train the analysts on what they're going to be using when they're actually out in the field and outside of the schoolhouse. In the middle are some of those different key users that we see using it. So whether it's your all-source analysts, if you're in a joint task force, of course, the geospatial analysts, as well as planners, instructors, and command staff. So really, we're trying to get a holistic view, make sure that we have something in here that no matter if you're a full-time analyst or if you're a supervisor, manager, a decision maker, whoever you might be, we want to make sure that you're able to get the information you need out of this. And that way we can help you better facilitate your missions and ensure that you achieve that success. Then come through here and talk through a couple of our different key features in here, give you some imagery to go along with it. So that way it's not just words, I want to give you the pictures as well. So this is our symbol generator that we've created. It'll allow you to go in, pick the affiliation of that unit, what type of unit it is, so whether it's land, air, or sea, as well as cyber. And then you can go ahead and add in your different modifiers. So an example I have up here is it's a sea surface vessel. Then I went ahead and decided that it's a carrier. You can add in additional modifiers, so whether it's a headquarters element, the size of that element, and then you can add in the unique name as well. So you can go ahead and add everything that you would typically have on your military symbology. You'll be able to have that directly inside of your map here. And as I mentioned, that layer customization. So this you can see on the right-hand side exactly how that's going to be laid out and how it'll look. And what you'll also be able to do is go ahead and show or hide the specific layers you want. So that way you can either increase or decrease the size of that picture depending on your needs at the time. And then our graphical amplifier. So one of the key things that we've implemented now is the ability to automatically populate radii. So in here, if you have a minimum range, maximum range, or just a general range, Once you add that property onto that entity, it'll go ahead and add it to your map as well. So you're not having to go in and manually create an additional shape, try to position it just right over that item. It'll go ahead and automatically add it there for you. And of course, just like with our layers, you'll be able to show and hide these as needed, as well as turn the labels on and off. The other great thing about this is in this case, you can see we have 4 different radii on the map. So it can sometimes, when you start overpopulating with those, get confusing on which one belongs to which unit. So in this case, if I hover over one of those entities or one of the radii, it'll go ahead and highlight the item associated with it. So I can clearly identify exactly who might be in that field of fire, as well as where that fire may be coming from. And then also, of course, your custom shapes and styling. So you can come in, add those areas of operations with your different labels. You can adjust the coloring, the transparency. So that way you can make sure that it fits exactly what your needs are. And that is going to be it for my presentation today. I really appreciate you having us on. We're going to be at booth S12 at the conference, and we'd love for you to stop by, give you a live demo of this, and talk you through not only Overwatch, but also everything we have to offer to this industry.
Thanks, Ethan. I'm really excited about this. I think you're in a really good crossover place between the security side and the actual military simulation and training side. So I think that you're going to have a lot of interest in this. And I really like the fact that you're already loaded with NATO symbology as well. You know, we've got 8 different NATO organizations coming this year. So that's going to talk to a lot of the audience.
Yeah, we wanted to really make sure that we meet those standards. We're following with the App 6 standard, and we're constantly updating that. So as new updates come out, we want to make sure that it fits their needs, and it's not just saying, oh, it's good enough. It's exactly what they need to go ahead and have those true pictures out there.
Yeah, and the same system working from operational into training. It's great.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for that. Can't wait to see you in Bristol in less than 2 weeks. Holy cow. And we'll see you on setup on the Monday.
All right. Thank you very much. We're really excited to see everyone.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. We'll take care and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Right then, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to welcome back an old friend, but not an old friend, if that makes sense. Definitely not old, but definitely someone who's been in and around the industry for quite a long time now and is an expert in his own lifetime. So next going live, we will be welcoming Bohemia Interactive Simulations, and Seb Loze is coming in to talk about that. So Seb, are you there? And if you could unmute, that would be glorious.
You told me I get, 50 cents each time I'm, sitting on mute. So, I try.
And for those who don't know, I've brought Seb in 3 minutes early, so he's on it. He's quick like a cat.
Very good. I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you looking forward to for our 10th anniversary, Seb? Can you believe it's been 10 years?
It's incredible. Yeah. And we didn't change.
Yeah, we don't change. That's what Simon and I said earlier. Simon Leng and I. Exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Unless, the only difference is I change location. We have you now right from beautiful Prague, where I'm in the HQ of Bohemia. So very happy to welcome you all here.
Wonderful, thank you. And what are you looking forward to this year?
Well, this will be a big year for us, and this wargaming trend is everywhere around us. We're gonna see a lot of interesting improvement in a lot of different tech. We learned a lot recently. Actually, that's what we wanted to share with you today.
Well, I'm going to say live now because this is news to everybody. The Wargaming Festival's grown so huge. And thanks to Bohemia for sponsoring that. We've now had to move it onto the show floor, Seb. So that we've got so much and so many inputs, and it's going to be fantastic. So we're really looking forward to that being a really cool part of our offering this year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand over to you. And if anybody has got questions for Seb, please drop them in the live chat in the YouTube stream. Otherwise, we'll come back at the end and I'll catch up with you then.
Super. I'll be sharing my screen, and I know how to do it. So I'll try to figure it out. Yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Wiggle at the bottom, click share.
Yeah, incredible. And there will be a video played I would be very curious to have feedback direct from you, Tess, or anybody when the video will be playing, in case it's not flowing the way it should be. Hi everyone, you may be able to see my screen, and it's a very, very short presentation on my end today. Some of you are used to longer presentation on my end. It will be a short one today, just to introduce a subject that we'll be extremely happy to talk with you about during DSET, and a subject that's very experimental at the moment. So we're really looking for comments. We're looking for questions and volunteers to join us into experimenting further. What we will be doing today is just show you a very early return on experience. And based on that, I expect to be stimulating a lot of questions, lots of conversations, and further development with you all in the coming weeks and months. So what happened? What was the experiment? It was during a gathering of the community in Oslo in March this year. Very, very recent. What you see here is something that we just experienced. We decided with several players of the industry, Levado, which are local in Oslo, Massa Sword, our good old friends, and us with our VBS product, to work together into running an interesting experiment. Instead of having simply the digital wargaming, like it's very often the case in our simulation field with this digital habit that we have, we decided to explore how we could do that in a hybrid manner by blending together the traditional wargaming, where you're on a paper map with pawns that you physically move, and the digital world. Using the digital world as a support for the adjudication for the players that were running live. Because we have an incredible team in content marketing, they filmed it, they recorded it, and there's a very short summary that I'll be playing for you. And I'll be muting myself during that video. And after that, I'll come back and we'll be able to discuss and take all the questions that you have. And I'll be opening towards what we want to do moving forward and revealing to you where we're at. So I'll try to play this video. I'm playing a video from YouTube in a YouTube stream through a YouTube webinar, through Zoom webinar. So it's a stunt. Bear with me. We'll try. Let's hope it works.
Innovation and change are never easy, but we collectively decided to try something new. We called it hybrid wargaming, an experiment make digital and analog work together. One day, 3 scenarios, 50 participants. And this
Hey Seb, if you can hear me, the sound's not playing. I think it may be because you're muted.
we may find ourselves.
Excuse me, Tess, you said?
Sorry, the sound on the video isn't coming through.
Oh, that's terrible.
It's not terrible.
Seb, to hear the video audio, you need to not be muted because it's just the way that it works. So if you remain unmuted and replay the video, then we'll be able to hear the video audio.
Excellent. I'll stay corrected. I will not go muted. I'll replay it. Sorry, guys. Really sorry for our audience here.
Innovation and change are never easy, but we collectively decided to try something new. We called it hybrid wargaming, an experiment make digital and analog work together. One day, 3 scenarios, 50 participants. And this is what we learned. In concept.
don't want to bother him. That's who I would grab otherwise. Ed is out as well, so like some of the most involved parties are not here to speak for themselves, I guess.
I'm terribly sorry we're not in the right.
But what I think I mainly heard is that Christian wants to propose.
That's very interesting. I'm sorry, folks. Are we
Yeah, I'm sorry, Seb. I don't think that was the soundtrack to.
That was very live. Yeah.
Yeah, very live. It's all good.
All
No
good.
swearing, no nothing.
Good.
You're all good.
Well, that's what's happening when you're in a big room, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I'll be right sharing again. Sorry, properly this time, I swear.
No, 100% all good.
I swear. And now we're sharing for real, for real. This is the live.
Wargaming is basically just creating a simulated form of conflict at virtually any given level, from the kind of small tactical, small units of troops or even drones in a confined environment, right the way up to like full kind of theater level operations or even like globe spanning operations, incorporating any number of factors. It's utterly huge discipline. It's really all about simulating and replicating the kinds of conflicts that we may find ourselves in the future, and being as prepared as we possibly can for those conflicts.
Wargaming is, in general, two groups of players making decisions that affect the decisions that the other group of players then make. So it's adversarial, and there's an action, reaction, counteraction sequence to wargaming.
So the benefits of wargaming to military personnel is that by creating a simulated environment, these personnel, whoever it is at whatever level, can experience, explore, interrogate any number of scenarios that they may find themselves in the future. What this allows them to do is create a far, far better understanding of these situations and really get a head start on the decision making that they'll have to do at the sharp end.
So in the simulation environment, in the simulation world, we see in wargaming two big factions, two big families. You have the traditional paper map world, and you have the very digital and modern, my software is great type world. And these two worlds don't talk to each other very often.
What we're attempting to look at today and experiment with is the concept of not only that action, reaction, counteraction of keeping the human at the center of wargaming, but then also examining the underlying interactions of a complex system of the people and platforms that are actually on the battlefield. So can we bring those two worlds together?
For us, this hybrid wargaming concept is the ability to have digital environment and the analog environment that the wargamers are using being blended together in the same environment so that people can operate nominal way, the traditional way they were operating all the time in the analog environment, and using the adjudication not only from humans, but leveraging AI to have this adjudication coming from the digital environment. In that case, we're using VBS4, which is bringing all the ability to leverage accurate data generated by the simulator to feed the operators that are running this wargaming activity. So today we had 3 tiers in the wargaming. We basically funneled in from the strategic operation to the operational level to the tactical level. In each of the vignettes that we ran, we gave an opportunity to different participants and different industry players to join us into this exercise. So we gathered battle with a local company doing a very high-level animation of scenes and operations. We had our partners, Mata, who brought Sword, which helped us from a constructive simulation point of view. And we ended up today, all the afternoon actually, with VBS running the more tactical vignette of this wargaming operation.
So my role today is I'm going to be working as the operator for the team. So we're going to have 2 teams participating in this war game. It is my job to take what they're saying, what their plans are, and translate them into VBS. So during the tactical phase of the war game, the competitors are going to be split into 2 teams, our blue force and our opposing force. Each team is going to be provided with a map generated through Mantle of the scenario. First, they're going to choose whether they want to attack the northern airfield or the southern airfield. And from there, they're going to create their plans. They're going to use the maps to create their plans, which are then going to be translated through an assistant back to myself, the operator, which is then going to be shown in VBS so they can see the real-time outcome of their plans. From the competitors today, I'm hoping to see almost an emotional level of engagement. We want them to get very invested in the outcomes of what happens. We want them to get invested in their units. We want to see them really trying their best to react to what happens and honestly seeing the disappointment or joy in their face when it's a success or a failure.
So we provided a constructive simulation to simulate the scenario on operational level. And the role of our phase of the simulation was the preparation phase and the movements into the hotspot, the hot areas in this scenario. So the players, the war gamers, were providing us information about what they would like the units to do in the simulation. So defend areas, fire artillery, move there, move here. So that's what they did. And me and my colleague, we put that actions into the simulation that then was simulated by the simulated units that are controlled by artificial intelligence. So today we arrived with a plan. We arrived with a fantastic, roadmap towards how the day would unroll. So we had that theater for the day, where we ended up having, as it's hybrid, two types of environment. We had a digital environment running on the computer, and we had the analog environment running on tabletops with maps that were printed out, where people were actually moving phones over time that were digitally reproduced into the software so that the education can come from both the humans and the machines. It was a very interesting experience. We have historically a lot of experience with users using our technology to do wargaming, but it's more in experimental purposes for operations research, evaluating systems, and in operation environments. What is new and interesting niche for us is the educational wargaming, analytical wargaming that we were doing here today.
So I think what surprised me the most about today is the wider appetite for the kind of integration, the kind of inclusion that we're talking about here. It's not just about integrating different forms of software, different approaches, different techniques, but also integrating and including a far, far wider range of people. That could be all kinds of different backgrounds, whether it's professional, demographic, national, anything you can imagine. Wargaming is a fantastic forum to bring people together and work problems in a whole, an assortment of teams. So to be able to run these exercises today, have so many different people coming down, check it out, to ask questions, to engage, to watch, to listen, to learn, is wonderful.
One thing that I think today was very good at showing is how the different systems fill different needs in the military, because the military decision process is incredibly complex, and there's no sort of approach or system that solves every problem. But that's why interaction or interconnectivity between systems and also processes is very important. And this is the demonstration today showed some very good experiments moving towards that.
We came in wanting to be very, very ambitious, to really experiment with using lots of different systems together in sequence, throwing everything in, really kind of showcasing and pushing the envelope of not only what's possible, but what we really need to create more of if we're going to continue to advance wargaming. And I think we gave a flavor of that. And I think that everyone here was able to see that, engage with that, hopefully went away feeling innovation and change.
All right, so I know we ran a little bit short, and we have so much to cover on that topic. It's for us extremely important to make sure that we engage and continue this type of experimentation and collaborations. You'll be able to see more and to talk more with us around DSET. What's important for us is to engage with the community. You have a little QR code here that you can scan to get in touch with us. that will allow to continue that type of conversations. But before we conclude, Tess, did you add any questions or comments on
Yeah,
that?
do you want to come back on?
Topic?
Do you want to come back and screen because your video's off at the moment?
Oh, yes, of course. Well, hold on one sec. I'll do that.
Yeah, do that because it's weird talking to a black hole.
Hi, I'm back.
No, so obviously I have massive vested interest in this and being both
Of course
modeling simulation and wargaming expert. And you're right to say that there are very few that cross over between the communities. I've been in rooms with 100 wargamers and 2 know about modeling and sim, and vice versa. Modeling and sim community, maybe there's a couple of wargamers. And I think the wargaming community certainly needs to be brought gently into the digital age. And I think the hybrid format for that is kind of perfect because it allows them to look at the maps. The human in the loop part is the really important piece for wargaming that sim can't replace, but can actually augment in a really positive way.
Yeah, it's really this hybrid approach that we believe was lacking. This first experiment was a test, right? And we're at a point now where, based on that test, we had some refinement conversations with some of the players, some of the industry that were with us in that room. We're not far to be able to have systems that are bringing automatization on top of what the digital world can bring today to really help people to work the way they were used to work all their life and receive the augmentation of the adjudication using the computer-enabled calculations and AI solutions.
No, absolutely. And, we could go and talk about this forever, and we'll be doing a series of webinars and running some experimentation down at the studio. And what I really loved about this was the collaborative feel of it, because you can't do this in isolation, that experimentation phase.
Exactly. On our end, that's what's really important here. We want to continue experimenting with others. So if you're in the field, if you're dealing with wargaming, either on the analog side of things or on the digitalization of the battlefield, and you want to have a discussion further and see how to implement solutions together, we're ready to be in contact.
Well, I can't wait for you guys at DSET this year. And the only sad bit is that I've got so many conference sessions that I have to be in and I can't come and play more. But look, thank you so much again. Really appreciate it, and so looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks in Bristol.
Super welcome. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, Seb. Brilliant job as always. So bringing up the rear of the day, but certainly not the rear of the conference. We're going to welcome now Sanjay Ketia, who Seb knows well as well. So this is, we are all part of the same community. So I'm going to say goodbye to you, Seb, and welcome Sanjay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanjay, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. There we go.
Wonderful. I'm doing really well. How are you this afternoon?
Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. I think I'm the last one here now, right?
You are, before we do wrap up, but we've got more viewers online now because obviously our friends in North America, and Canada, are now online, and it's not stupid o'clock in the morning.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's tea break now. It's morning tea break for everyone in the US. I hope you're having tea. They won't be. In Canada, we hope you're having tea.
Maybe.
You've got a bit of a flicker going on.
I've noticed that as well. I don't know why it's doing that. So hang on. Let me
We want it to be as best as possible and not to trigger any, latent epileptics in the room.
Ugh. Hang on. Let's try something. I'll change camera and then come back again.
Oh, well, the camera angle's great.
Oh, God.
No, yeah. Go back to the other camera angle.
I can do if you want me to.
Yeah, do that. It's your side profile, great view.
I can change camera and look this way.
I'm going to give you a new strapline. Sanjay Ketia, great from any angle. There we go. Are you going to be presenting slides with us today, Sanjay?
I am going to be presenting slides and also just standing in for Rusty, who's away for a business trip. So, yeah. So that's the first thing. You probably noticed that I'm not rusty. Or I could be rusty in a different way.
We're all rusty. Oh my God. I can hear Spartacus in my head now. Right. I'm going to hand over to you. You know where the share button is on the bottom.
I'm just going to find it.
if you wiggle, and then the share will come up with an arrow in the center of the bottom of the screen. And that will bring you there to being able to share your slides.
Tell me what you're seeing.
I'm seeing you. Everyone's seeing you, Sanjay.
You're still seeing me, not the slides? Oh,
Yeah.
hang on.
It's all good. It's not a disaster.
There
There
we
we
go.
go. Has started
all right?
sharing. That's absolutely perfect.
Okay, so that's
Actually,
just the main screen and whatever, yeah. Okay,
the
cool.
nice thing is there's no pressure or hard stop for this, Sanjay. So talk about what you want to talk about.
Hopefully, I'm never, I try not to be under pressure, and you've created the most relaxing environment for us to kind of just thrive and flourish in what we do. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, so yeah, this is great, and I like how you bring us all together to share what we do, and and obviously DSET's going to be brilliant, and with it being 10 years on as well. So
I know. We'll talk about it at the end. Right then, I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to disappear, and
I'll switch off my camera for this bit, just in case there's any sort of problems with if it's laggy or anything like that. So yeah, this is going to be a quick brief, hopefully, and all I'm really going to try and do is just give you a bit of an overview of Bylight and who we are, what we do, and everything else. So I'll start by sort of just giving you a bit of a plotted history, just really just trying to help orientate you. When we say Bylight, who do we mean? Who might you already have heard of that might actually help or orientate yourselves? So Bylight IT Services was founded in 2002. Think of it as an IT organization providing cyber, cloud, managed services across the US. We acquired a number of organizations over the years. We bought an organization called Radon back in 2020. And essentially, they manufacture and provide sort of integration services for us. We also own an organization called Cole Engineering Services, which should be familiar for those in the modeling and simulation and training space. The organization itself was formed in 2004, and Bylight acquired them in 2019. They have a number of significant programs that are relevant to the modeling simulation domain. One being the sort of the synthetic training environment program that they deliver for the US Army, and also the Cyber Trident program, which is again quite pertinent to DSET, especially this year, as the Ruddy Nice team have brought in the cyber, the vertical there. We've also then acquired an organization called VRAI. Again, that was formed in '99, but we acquired them a few years ago. And they deliver high fidelity simulators. So think of them as sort of, whereas Cole deliver the systems that help train the mind, this is more about training the hand. So teaching pilots and the warfighter the actual how to use the equipment and everything else. So Bylight Technologies was formed early last year, and I'm the managing director for that, and I'm forming a high-performing team around that. And Bylight Technologies Limited is an independent UK organisation, and it's providing sort of the science, engineering, and training services in modelling, simulation, and the cyber domains. What we're trying to do is to coalesce all the great things that exist in the States, anglicize it, and provide it to meet our unique customers in this domain and in this space. So we're overall, the group is about 2,000 or so employees. And we've got some facilities around the globe. As I've already said, we've formed an office in the UK, as well as Australia. And, we kind of operate with facilities at sort of top secret level. In terms of what we do, I think you can almost compartmentalize it into sort of three kind of areas. One that we're probably familiar with is the kind of the modeling, simulation, and training space. And that's where we kind of deliver LVC training, modeling, and simulation. So across our organization of BioLite, we have a high number of sort of DevSecOps engineering capabilities right the way across. And so what we have is a modeling and sim capability. We then also have what we would say is the cyber operations, and then we have the kind of the digital services piece, which is again providing sort of government networks and wide area infrastructure for not just defence but also other government organisations. So I'm going to kind of just deep dive. I say deep dive, give you a level of exposure to each of these kind of domains. So cyber, we as an organisation, we are kind of a world-class cyber space operations and cybersecurity delivering organisation. We develop and protect and sustain essentially the largest military hardened network in the world, and that's second to the in size only to the internet. So just to give you a scale of what we're talking about. And what we're really trying to do is we are preparing our warfighters and federal agencies with systems engineered to sort of connect, protect, and prepare them for what's next. So the idea is that we train sort of cyber ready workforces to detect, deter, and defeat evolving threats. So that's think of the whole cyber domain and how we kind of prepare our warfighters in that domain. I talked about, or briefly mentioned, the Cyber Trident program. So just to give you an idea, this is the largest cyber range in the world, and we prime that, and we provide what is essentially a persistent cyber training environment. So one is the actual environment that we provide, but then we also provide the operational and expertise to support the cyber training environment as well. So it's more the operational as well as the technology and being the prime integrator for that. So this is really relevant to certainly the pillar that Ruddy and I have brought in to look at in the cyber domain. And then we look at, a lot of people talk about data and how, the use of data and everything else. So, we deliver, as we, alongside the sort of cyber space and cyber security, we basically deliver the ability to integrate across a number of kind of different domains, whether it's across the local area network, the wide area network. We design and implement optimized sort of 5G, as well as sort of HF, UHF, VHF communication systems, and all that supporting infrastructure that goes alongside that. We also kind of help design and put in place end-to-end SATCOM solutions for global communications. So it's really trying to take all that kind of enabling technologies across the sort of operational systems and trying to ensure that the information is able to be transported and delivered to the point of need, whether it be voice, whether it be video, and over those sort of data networks as well. And then we kind of come on to sort of the more kind of modeling and simulation space. Again, we, it's easy to say, but we absolutely engineer solutions that are enhance the warfighter's training experience, and we utilize next generation simulation technology to do that. The US programs that we've got, like the STEE program, for example, we do deliver the reconfigurable collective trainers, and they are designed to be trainers for collective training for the Army. So we deliver all the vehicle types for them, and create a virtual environment for them to sort of train alongside other coalitions, but also alongside other domains. We have a number of systems that work alongside those reconfigurable trainers, and we provide that common synthetic environment to enable that. So we have what we call the training management tool, and that kind of takes you from the sort of, it's a number of things. So it takes you from the sort of whole planning, execution, debrief, and analysis, You know, so we can actually use our tools to kind of enable that, and that's something that has been delivered to the US Army for use and deployment. We also have what we call a data fabric. The data fabric allows all the seamless integration and orchestration of whether it's a live asset, virtual asset, or constructive asset. So, you know, the whole point of this is we design and develop realistic, immersive, you know, simulation and mission rehearsal solutions. And when you kind of scale that up to somewhat an organization that we have, whereby through the acquisition of VRAI, whereas we do things around the collective training environment, we also do a lot of work around the individual training. And so for more pilot and aircrew systems across the DoD, so we do sort of cockpit management trainers, aircrew procedural trainers, weapon trainers, you know, the whole full flight simulators, which are on sort of motion platforms, etc. So, and we've got a simulator coming into RAF Odium later in the year. Sort of more next year. So we've got a whole host of I guess capabilities that kind of go across the breadth or the spectrum of fidelity. And all the systems we've designed, we design it with soldier touch points. So the soldiers, the war fighters help determine the level of fidelity required for the training output that we desire. So there's a whole host of things in there, and at the show we'll be demonstrating the exportable training management tool, which we call Forge, which allows, you know, any of our partners to deliver a common synthetic environment, you know, enable us to integrate disparate systems, and all done without, you know, it's all ITAR free and it's anglicized, and it's done utilizing UK experts and for you know, to I guess reduce the limitations we may have around export control. So we're trying to make sure we provide an agile, flexible service and a solution to the customers that require that. So that was the modeling of sim bit, and I think, to be fair, that was kind of a whistle-stop tour of what we offer, what we have as an organization. I think that's kind of bang on 15 minutes or so. So I'm back to you, Tess, really. I mean, a lot of this we'll be showing you and happy to talk you through at the show. So yeah, looking forward to all that.
No, that's really perfect, Sanjay. I was going to say it's been 10 years for you now as well, for DSET, but obviously 25 plus for us in the industry. Let's not dress it up. It's true. What do you see changing over, say, the short term? Some people have mentioned agile and cyber, and then going into the next 5 years.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think technology-wise, I guess there's a lot of talk around AI and the adoption and the utilization of AI. I think that's something that we're going to have to sort of think about how we maximize that to deliver, you know, the best impact, not just AI for the sake of AI. And I think the utilization of sort of, or the integration of cyber and cyber effects. So we talk about multi-domain operations, but I think we still kind of at times operate in a sort of siloed fashion rather than sort of actually having an integrated MDO offering and working together across those domains. And how does cyber and cyber effects kind of feed into sort of the let's say the air domain, the land domain, and whatnot. So I think there's a piece around that. And I guess when we talk about agility, there are organizations that are agile. I think that's mainly down to the individuals rather than the organizational culture. I think it comes down to, you know, individuals that are going to buck the trend, or, you know, try and do the things that, you know, are, I guess, customers, you know, being customer centric more than anything else. You know, how do we adapt and how do we be agile in order to sort of satisfy the needs of the customer? But so not only is it having the agility as an organization, but think also agility in how things are contracted, the commercial models that are used to enable agility from whether it's SMEs or even larger organizations. And so this is not a poke at the larger organizations. I think at the end of the day, I think everyone wants to be agile.
Yeah.
I think it's are the commercial models designed to allow us to be agile? So it's just throw it
No,
out.
it's food for thought, and some of those are sessions which we'll be addressing at DSET. And like, we've been explaining today, it's not the standard conference, is it? It's where you come and like find out about your day job, meet requirements managers, as well as the procurement teams and everybody else in between. So I'm really looking forward.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I mean, all I was going to say was to really reinforce what you just said there. I don't get paid by Tess to say anything, all right? So before anyone thinks anything of the sort, I have been a huge supporter of DSET in my previous organisations and in our current organisation, and long may that continue. I mean, I think at the end of the day, DSET is one of those shows. I call it show because I can't think of anything. It's not really a show. It's more of an opportunity for our community to get together, have an open, meaningful discussion, and which drives everyone forward in our industry. It does feel like a safe environment for customers to share some of their prickly problems, and the same for industry to kind of share what and how they could help in a safe kind of collaborative environment. So yeah, absolutely, Tess. I think what you've enabled through this and how it's grown from what it was, it's
that non-judgmental piece. Thank you for those words, Sanjay. It's exactly like what we've been trying to do. And that safe environment where people can express their challenges. But then also what I've really loved over the years is watching that collaboration where people are not afraid of helping do the difficult thinking to actually try and find solutions, either peer-to-peer or within the different groups of military, government, academia and industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think as you've added on the various strands, I think that's helping to sort of take note of, how the, if we can bring everyone together as a community somehow, there are ways in which we can help, whether it's academic support to some of the projects and programs we're working on, how there's crossover from what we do maybe for the Army or the RAF, and how we can kind of benefit cyber and vice versa. So creating that environment where those who may or may not be aware of what we do in the domain, getting awareness of that, and also not forgetting the other things that you do around attracting talent into our industry. We do some cool stuff as an industry, so how do we attract the best talent?
Lots of young people don't know that we do cool stuff, and so that's one of the our outreach to different universities and that younger talent coming in. And on the Thursday afternoon, we do encourage exhibitors to bring in their HR and apprenticeship teams to actually pluck that talent straight from the show floor, which has happened for the last 4 years now, which is wonderful. People going home with contracts. So anybody watching and exhibiting, don't forget to bring your HR team on the Thursday, because there's talent in the room that wants to be employed.
Thanks.
So exciting. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for that.
That's actually fun, Tess.
I'm really looking forward to seeing you in Bristol, and the dinner night, I've noticed.
Of course, that's a great addition as well.
Have a table. Well, you know what? We don't celebrate enough as a community. We never have time to actually sit down and just spend quality time together, do we? It's always in and out of shows, too busy on the show floor, and you're absolutely knackered to hit your hotel room. And we just thought, this year it's our 10th anniversary. It's the Army Service Women's Network's 10th anniversary. And it's the NATO Modelling and Simulation group in Rome. It's their 20th anniversary.
Oh, right.
So we'll be welcoming all of the representatives from all of those groups to the dinner, and hopefully it'll be a lovely night under Concord.
Brilliant.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, look, thank you so much. We'll catch up super soon. And cheers to Rusty, who's on the road somewhere.
Yeah, I'll fire up YouTube now so I can watch your readout.
Well, exit first, please.
Thanks. See you later.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
So that's a wrap for today. I haven't made any notes to specifically pick up on, but I think, we've had 12 wonderful sessions today from a really diverse group of people and different capabilities from all sorts of different companies, actually from across the world. And it does kind of represent a little pod of what we will be having at DSET in 2 weeks' time. We've got representatives from over 40 countries coming again this year, both virtually and in person. We've now got over 70 exhibitors and sponsors on the show floor. Lots of them are agencies from government. We have the UK Space Agency there, DSET from the police, London Fire Brigade, NATO Modelling Simulation Centre of Excellence. So there are places where you can go directly engage outside of the conference to understand more about their challenges and engage with them directly. And we're super excited about that. And once you're actually registered, please do that. You can engage with people in advance and see who's actually there already coming, and book meetings and everything else through the virtual platform in a safe and friendly environment. So look, it's a final wrap from me. Thank you so much to everybody. A massive thanks to Abby Pearce, who's our COO behind the scenes here and keeping us on track. And yes, she is always right. And so if you have an email from her, she is always right, just saying. And we can't wait to welcome you to Bristol in a couple of weeks' time. So that's it from me. Thanks very much, everybody. See you soon.
A lot of times you go to conferences and you just hear about advancements of technologies. This conference provides a great opportunity for you to actually see and touch.
The level of interaction is significantly higher than what I'm used to with other conferences.
What's important is to be able to share ideas, and people are coming in from all sorts of different perspectives. So even in this morning's address, you've got 4 very different perspectives on the same problem, and that's very creative. So conferences like DSET, really, it's great because we get all our customers and all our end users in the room together, talk to them, and it allows me then to go back to the office and brief the team on where the problems are and what we can do better in the future.